Hello, DRCs. We just concluded another wonderful citywide gathering, the first of the year, which kicked off with our very own Hope Prayer Room, core team leadership leading out in worship before us. And it was a wonderful time just encountering the Lord in His presence, and you are the ones who helped make it special, so thank you for being here. Wanted to give you a quick recap of how we spent the night, which kicked off with Chris Rayleigh, our new field operations manager, giving us a report of some of the recent relief efforts happening in East Travis County, East Williamson County, and the different homes that have been touched in that process, and also an update of Louisiana response from 2016, as well as the Jasper County and the later area. They also spent a little time, he and our COO, Robert Vidari, sharing with us just a little bit about the new response framework and protocol for us in responding to disasters, which is really insightful. We even had a quick report of how you're responding as a DRC. How does that fit into it? How does a DRC respond and coordinate response with ADRN? Just as a quick refresher and recap of knowing how to mobilize ourselves in a time of disaster. Daniel Geraci set for us the direction for 2017. We really sense the Lord breathing upon, and change is coming. But change is good. Change in the database is coming. Change in the structure and the development of our shepherding support and how we operate in that arena. Change within the leadership structure of ADRN and many other arenas. So we are preparing ourselves, and we feel like the Lord is preparing us for our roots to go deep so that we'll be able to accomplish the things that are set before us in the days ahead. In addition to that, there was lots of good collaboration and breakout among sectors. Really a time of just to pause and hear from the Lord. Maybe in a fresh way for our role as DRCs, and also asking ourselves, what are we believing the Lord for in 2017 related to our role, for our church, within our role, to establish core teams and really lead out in crisis response for our fellowship. So we took time just to brainstorm, collaborate, pray, and share and dialogue between ourselves. In addition to that, we shared with the DRCs present some of the real stirrings, deep stirrings God's been impressing upon our hearts, and the call and conviction to raise up godly leaders. And a generation that desperately needs godly leaders, we are giving ourselves to raising them up. And we're asking you to join us. We believe that God has purposed from the beginning that the church be the center of gravity, the locus of leadership development, because the call on leadership is to go forth and die. And as the call rests on us as believers to respond to the one who went forth and died for us, to lay down our lives, to deny ourselves, take up our cross and follow him. It uniquely equips the church like no other entity in the earth to actually lead out in developing leaders, godly leaders that would touch every sphere of society. And we believe God's calling us to this in a fresh way. And we're also uniquely and specifically redefining and reshaping the role of the sector leader. We really believe that God is purposing within our hearts to raise up these sector leaders within each sector of the city that are full-time committed to supporting and mentoring and developing DRCs, full-time to establishing relationships with churches and building out the framework to respond in the midst of crisis. And so we are actively looking right now for those that feel called to the Lord. And I would even pose it to you. Do you feel called to the Lord? Is the Lord calling you to consider being a part of that with us, to going full-time and being a sector leader, whether it be you're retired and able to stay in that financially, or maybe even raising support for that role, whatever that looks like. We have some luncheons coming up we would love for you to consider being a part of with us. And in addition to that, at the conclusion of the night, Allison Geraci gave us an anticipation of what to look for in the Light of Hope coming May 13th. She's our Relationship Development Director, and she really set vision for us of what we're believing the Lord for. $500,000 raised this year at the Light of Hope, and you're the ones that help make that possible. There's no one more qualified to be a table host than you, one who really casts vision and communicates with passion about the unique nature and the instrument that God has raised up called Austin Disaster Relief Network, and inviting others to be a part of it. This really is in context to your role. There's no one more qualified to be a table host than you as DRCs. Our hope is that you would not only consider that, but say yes and step into that. And our hope is that every DRC would take on a table. So there's lots more that we covered, but that's just a quick recap of how we spent our night. And we hope that you'll join us at the next Citywide. Look for that coming soon.